All right. Today we're going to be talking about why you're not lazy and the real reasons why you're not as productive as you want to be. First, you lack purpose. This one seems kind of obvious, but it needs to be said. When it comes to being productive, getting things done, what really matters is that you know where you're going. So in this illustration that I've drawn for you, this is you, apathetic, maybe confused, not really understanding where you want to move in life. And so you need a direction. It's very difficult to move down a particular path with confidence, consistency, and effort if you don't know where you're going, right? Have you ever walked down a hiking trail or walked down a road or driven somewhere and you don't really know exactly if it's the right direction? Navigation's kind of helped with that a lot, but I'm sure there's been at least one time where you're walking down a certain area, you're progressing down a certain path, and you're not totally sure where you're gonna end up. So when you're walking down that path or moving along that path, you're more tentative. You're looking around, you're uncertain, you're not as confident, you're distracted, you're in your head. But when you know exactly where you're going, you're not even thinking about it. You're just moving forward. The navigation's working, you've walked the road a million times before, you know the end destination, you know the end result, and you know you want to be at that end destination, at that end result. You know why you're going to the grocery store, to school, to your job, back home, girlfriend's house, boyfriend's house, blah, blah, blah. So you need direction. You need to know where you're going. You need to establish, okay, this is where I'm going, and I know where it's gonna end up. You need a clear why. So when you're putting forth this effort, right? You are being productive. You know what the end result will be. So we can give the example of, let's say, studying, right? I've worked with students before. One problem is procrastination with studying. Why am I not being as productive in school? I can't really find myself to motivate myself to study for the exams. You understand that you need to study to get good grades on that test, on that examination, right? So you know what direction you're going is. I'm moving towards the test. I'm moving towards good grades, straight A's, so I can hopefully get a job, be employed at the end of my education tenure. You have that clear why. Why? Because I want good grades. I want straight A's. I want to be successful. I want to get a promotion. I want to be healthier. I want to attract that partner. Get the girl, get the boy. And you need powerful incentives. Now, this is actually the most important part, because I see a lot of rich, successful, famous people on podcasts or online or in snippets talking about how people don't really want to work. Why everyone's so lazy? Everyone's so lazy. No one wants to work anymore. Why do they not want to work anymore? Well, we're not going to get too deep into it, but to keep it simple, the incentives are not the same, at least in America. So in America, but also, across the world, the incentives are not the same as they were before. Meaning, a minimum wage salary today, or let's say the average salary, we don't have to even go that below. The average salary of a person today does not have the same buying power and cannot attract the same level of incentives as, say, the 50s or 60s. The main reason why people have trouble working hard is not because they're lazy, not because they're bad or stupid. It's because the incentives are not there. So if you find yourself not really being able to be as productive as you want, procrastinating, pushing things off, it's because you need direction. If you know where you're going, then you need to know why. And if you have these two, sometimes getting the straight A's is not enough of an incentive. When I was in university before I dropped out, I was an economics major. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna study really hard, right? I have my direction. I wanna get good grades, that's the why. But I'm gonna study really hard to then graduate with a degree I don't want, to then get a job I don't want, to live a life I don't want. The incentives are not there. And that's really a lot of the times where people kind of fall off, is that the incentives are not strong enough. I can assure you your procrastination problem will end immediately if somebody said, at the end of the day, if you get everything you're supposed to get done, you're gonna get $1 million. That's why it's ridiculous when rich and famous people say, oh my God, nobody wants to work anymore. It's like, well, it's easy for you to work and be productive because you have such strong and powerful incentives to do so. 99% of the planet would work fucking hard as shit and do almost anything if at the end of the day, they were gonna get, we'll make it reasonable, $1,000. $5,000, $10,000. Obviously, if you're not making that already. But when it comes to the rich and famous, if you're making what, $1 million a year, it's like 10,000, 65. Sure, we're making what, $3.5 million a year, $10,000 a day. Pretty good incentive to get what you need to get done. So establishing these is really clear. And I wouldn't write yourself off as lazy and unproductive and useless and broken until you know what direction you're going in with the behaviors that you're doing. So you know where you're going with the things that you are doing, whether it's diet, exercise, studying, work to get that promotion, whatever it is, you know where it's leading you, you know why you're doing it. So you're going in this direction, you want to get to the result, and the incentives are there. If all those are there, maybe you're just lazy, I don't know. And one of my favorite quotes from Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, probably butchered that, but he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Simply put, if you have a strong reason, incentive, why, direction, it almost doesn't matter what's in your path because everything has meaning, everything has purpose. Even the pain and the suffering has meaning and purpose. Think about amazing films like The Pursuit of Happiness or Saving Private Ryan or movies where, it's most movies, it's the hero's journey, my friend. The hero's journey becomes this incredibly inspiring journey and story and narrative when it has that meaning, when it has that purpose, when you have that why. But if it's just pointless, day-to-day drudgery with no incentives, no clear direction, and no why, well then of course you're gonna be lazy. So don't count yourself out. Scared of success. Everyone talks about being scared of failure, and that's true. So you can go to all the millions of other videos that talk about, oh, you're scared to fail. Like, yeah, we all have this fear that if we try hard, right, we do our best, we still fail. Ouch, pain, sadness. Nobody wants that. So that's one reason why you might be lazy. Procrastinate is usually how that manifests in the modern world. Distract yourself with TV, videos, hopefully not this video, but maybe this video, you're procrastinating, being lazy, distracting yourself from doing what you're supposed to be doing. But you're also scared of success. We all are to a certain degree. And this is more unconscious because we think we want success. We see people who are successful, it's constantly being propped up in the media and propped up in society is more money, more status, more cars, more women, more men, whatever it is, more things is continuously reinforced and validated by all parts of society, especially in the West. I'm mostly talking about the Western countries, right? But as another wise philosopher said, more money, more problems, more responsibility, more threats. The more success you get, the more likely there is somebody else who might want to take your spot, might come after you for the things that you have. The more things you have, the larger target. The more status you get, the more visibility you get, the more likely somebody is to come after you and take what they think is theirs or what should be theirs. So you could be procrastinating, being lazy because intuitively, unconsciously, you have this fear of the responsibility and the dangers that come with success. Because it's not just like you get status, you get money, and then everything is better, period, point blank. There is nuance to it. Now, a lot of problems do get alleviated through money, through success, but it also creates more problems and sometimes even higher order, more difficult to solve and maneuver and manage problems. That's why you have people, as rich as they are, still taking their own life or still suffering from mental health issues, despite having everything you think you'd want, because there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of problems that come with being at that level. More sacrifice. So if you're successful, you get that promotion, you graduate, straight A's, and then you become an investment banker, you become a lawyer, you become a PhD student, or you get that partner, and then you have a family. Now you have to sacrifice other things because you have those more problems, more responsibility. It means you have to sacrifice other things, like sitting around eating cookies, watching YouTube videos, staying inside or being able to get drunk on weekends. But no, I'm a parent now, or I have a relationship now, or I have to work now because I've been successful. I got promoted now. I have more hours to work. I have to sacrifice other things that I love. So you're making sure that you have a clear audit of, okay, what am I gonna have to give up if I walk down this certain path for whatever reason and get the incentives that I think that I want? What does that really mean? What problems come with it? What sacrifices do I have to make? How much time and energy do I have to expend to not only get to that point, but the journey never ends. It's not like you get the promotion, you get the girl, you get the job, you get the A's, and then it's like, oh, the work is done. A lot of times, like a video game, the more you level up, the more difficult the game gets. The more success you get, the more difficult it gets, the more energy and time and focus you have to exert. Are you willing to pay that price? Now, at this point, if you're lazy, you decided no. You're not willing to pay the price of success. You don't want that pressure. You don't want that responsibility. You don't want that energy. But consciously, you're thinking, no, I do want success. So you have to really balance out and really think about and reason with yourself, because you are a rational being. Emotional, yes, but also rational. And there's probably an unconscious part of yourself that's like, we could get that promotion, but like, what's in it for us, really? We could study really hard to get this degree to become a doctor, but do we really want to be a doctor? Is that enough of an incentive? Is that a clear why? Do we want the pressure and the time, energy cost? For you to decide. But at this point, you've decided unconsciously it's time to audit yourself to decide consciously if you want to move forward. Finally, you don't believe. Limiting beliefs, we all know about them. But again, it has to be said, similar to the lack of purpose. There could be a strong belief that even if you know where you're going, you know why you're doing it, the incentives are there, you're willing to make the sacrifice. You're willing to give up time, energy, porn, junk food, weed, whatever it is you need to give up, free time, to get that thing that you want, to get that success, to move forward and be productive. But you think that I'm gonna try really hard and I'm not gonna get it. Or I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy of it. Even if I did get it, it wouldn't feel right. It'd feel incongruent. Very common. The inner critic will usually stand in your way. That's the voice that says, sure, you can eat right, eat healthy and exercise every day, be productive physically, but you're never gonna have a six-pack. You're never gonna get that relationship you want. You're not gonna look that good. I mean, look at these people on social media. They look amazing. You'll never look like that. So why even bother? Why even try? At least you can enjoy food. At least you can enjoy TV. We're not gonna be able to enjoy what we think we want or what we truly want. So let's just enjoy the little things that we have here and not expend so much energy and not risk failure and not even risk success of like, oh damn, what if we do get in shape and then we have to maintain it? Because it's not like you get in shape and then it's over. You have to continuously do that. You have to keep going with it. So it's all about, finally, baby steps. One step at a time, making sure that you don't stretch yourself too far. Placing a goal. I want to lose 5 pounds over the next 4 months. I want to get a 3.5 GPA instead of a 3 GPA. at the end of the semester. I want to at least get to a point where I'm going on dates with these people, or I want to stop smoking, and so I'll smoke once a day as opposed to 5 times a day, or I'll buy one vape and then, switch it out for something else, or you get the point. Just allowing yourself time to take those incremental, reasonable steps. So you're not shooting for the stars, because that's another way of procrastinating, is trying to take it all in one big bite. I've done that before, very guilty of this. And all about too, not only just the baby steps, but doing that internal work to make sure you're really, really evaluating why you are lazy. And the only way to do that is you look inside yourself to realize the true motivations of why you're holding yourself back from moving forward. Because it can be any one of these things. It could be all of them. It could be one of them or 2 of them. Who knows? I don't know you. Only you're gonna know. But I can help you figure out which one of these it is and work with it to transform it to move forward and be more productive, if that's what you want, and if you're willing to pay the price of what you get from that work and productivity. So if you want a step-by-step guide to go inside of yourself, to figure out which one of these reasons why you have not been as productive as you want to be, to figure out that reason, I have a transformation guide. You can get the link down in the description. You can also work with me one-on-one if you need further guidance, to create a plan for you to understand fully what is going on in your subconscious mind, what is holding you back from moving forward. And if you really want to do the work to get the success you at least right now think you want. Thank you.